Hi there, ho there, and a gracious good Saturday morning to you. Welcome back to another exciting edition of the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour podcast, where we discuss the joy and excitement of UofL women's athletics. All three of our fall sports that we normally cover at Cardinal Couple were in action last week, so we'll be glad and pleased to kind of talk about some of those results and activities there. Jeff Walls held a presser earlier this week where he talked at length about his tennis game. So we'll kind of look and analyze on that a little bit. The rest of it was really good, though, about some information on the rest of the things going on with the team and some of the things that are going on. And today we hit you with 3 out of our 5, sometimes normal broadcasters up here who do this show. Daryl pushing buttons for the Louisville minor league baseball team as the Bats finish up their homestand against the Stripers. Case is out watching cars turn left somewhere on the closed location. I don't know. He's into that kind of thing. So they won't be with us, but I got Jeffy in here with us. We got Jared with us, and Paulie makes 3. So as we kind of like to do at the start of the show, let's kind of get it started. Jared will be jumping off this broadcast right after we're done and headed over to Traeger Stadium for University of Louisville field hockey. They play their first exhibition of the year, taking on the alumni. 1 o'clock start. If you want to run down to campus and catch that, that could be fun. Usually a blowout in favor of the student athletes against the alumni, but you never really know. But so, Jared, looking forward to that, I'm sure, getting back out on the Traeger turf.
Oh yeah, it's been what feels like too long, so I'm excited to get back out there and take more pictures again.
It should be a fun day for the weather looks beautiful for that. Jeff will be headed northbound as he's going to take it up to Dayton today to watch the Louisville volleyball team in an exhibition scrimmage against the Dayton Flyers, a Dayton team that is not too bad, kids. They've got some good things going on with them as far as what they did last year, and they come back pretty strong. So that should be a fun trip and venue for you, Jeff.
Yeah, absolutely. I've never been to a volleyball match at Dayton. It was one of the colleges I visited when I was looking at my college choices. It is a beautiful campus. It's a relatively easy drive from Louisville, and they are doing really great things with their volleyball program. They do, of course, have former UofL assistant Alyssa Dorico up there as an associate head coach. She is making herself at home up there, doing great things, and a team that's I say making some noise, but they're kind of doing it quietly. So this would be a good test for preseason exhibition test for the Cardinals to measure themselves up against some pretty decent competition.
Always good to play good teams in exhibitions, and we'll get a chance also to see Tori Deal for what kind of if she plays or if she doesn't play because of the kind of slight mishap she had in the red versus black scrimmage. We'll get into that a little bit later on in the show here. As without Case on board, the scheduling and Twitter information is going to fall to Jared, our backup scheduling and Twitter guy. So, Jared, I hope you're prepared for this. Jump on in and give us your best.
Yeah, we'll go on and do Twitter real quick while I rush and pull up our schedule since it's not a blank schedule anymore. The folks that are out today, we do have Case who's watching cars turn left somewhere or another, which, you could go to any 3 or 4 way intersection in town and watch cars turn left. But,
or Dixie Highway. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So, but he does tweet out his best case scenario. That is BST, no E in best. Hopefully we'll start seeing some soccer tweets coming at him here this season. Daryl, who is also out right now, does tweet out as Daryl Faust and the number 4 at the end of that. Lots of bat stuff, lots of UofL stuff. You'll see a lot of high school, college football stuff coming out of her here in a little bit as well. Jeff does tweet out as a couple different Twitter accounts. His main is at Jeff McAdams, where he'll just tweet about any and everything. You'll get to his other one, which is at Card Couple Radio. You'll see a lot more UofL stuff coming out. Maybe if there's not a live feed going on at the Dayton match, we may see a few tweets come out of him, just some updates with what's going on. So make sure you really tune in there. Paulie tweets out as Cardinal Couple. He does a lot of live in-game tweeting, especially at women's soccer. If you're paying attention Thursday night, you'll see more of that this coming Thursday if he's not out at the berm with all the dogs. And then myself, I tweet out as Mr. Anderson Jared. I'll be getting around to posting some UofL pictures out on Twitter here at some point, but always check out the website to see those. Moving on to our schedule. A few things going on today. Right after the show ends, 1 o'clock on Floyd Street, Field Hockey does have their annual alumni game. It's just a scrimmage, but it's always fun to see some of the alumni come back and figure out who's who, and just the fact that they're still willing to play and stay active. You see the current team should run away with that one, as always. Jeff is going to be heading up to the volleyball at Dayton matchup in Dayton, Ohio. It's at 4 p.m. This is a scrimmage, so there's going to be no official stats, no record with that one. But still something cool to see, as Dayton is a strong volleyball program. We'll get into that a little bit later on in the show. And then tonight up in Bloomington, Indiana, men's soccer will face IU in a scrimmage as well right before their season begins this week. Looking at tomorrow, field hockey will remain at Traeger Stadium. They host Bellarmine for the very first time ever. However, this will also be a scrimmage, so this one will not be counted in the scorebook. You can skip Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, nothing happening. A lot of orientation week's going to be going on, that welcome week at UofL, so it's going to be plenty busy on campus again. Moving on to Thursday, we do see women's soccer is going to be at home at 7:30. They do host James Madison. We're hoping for the same result as what they did against Western Michigan this past week. And men's soccer will officially begin their season on the road at St. Louis at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Friday's got a few things going on. It's going to start with a noon match for volleyball. That's going to be noon Eastern Time. They're going to be out there in Arizona as they play Cal Poly for their first match. It's the Arizona State Tournament. They'll get a short break before they turn around and play Texas A&M Corpus Christi at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. So that's a two-match event there for them that day. And kind of splitting in the middle, field hockey will host Ohio at 3 o'clock at Traeger Stadium. That is going to be the season opener. So head on out there, free admission. And then just looking ahead on Saturday, even though our show will be done by then, volleyball will stay out at Arizona. They do play Arizona State at 6 p.m. Eastern Time out there. So 3 matches kind of on the road at neutral site, and then against the host team, Arizona State, all there within a 24-hour period.
So good to see indeed, as actual games are popping up on the schedule. And of course, we'll be here to give you the results, the action, some of the things we've seen in watching or following these on our website, Cardinal Couple. Make sure you can check out the Cardinal Couple website, where we bring you a daily kind of review and analysis of things that have happened over the week. Always a good read for you. And we try not to get too political on it as well. So hop on in there and check out Cardinal Couple Daily. Make it part of your morning routine with your coffee and your looking over the bills you have to pay, right? Jump on in and do that. We have a lot of good things going on today to talk about. And I think we'll just go ahead and start it out with the action down on Floyd Street over at Lynn Stadium, where the University of Louisville soccer team brought in another opponent from the MAC. They had earlier in the season brought in Ball State and defeated them 2-0. Another MAC team, and not a bad MAC team in the Western Michigan Broncos. We expected a close match. Jared was there, Jeff was there, and Sonia and I were both there to watch the Cards take on the Broncos. And it was a beautiful night for soccer, but wow, this UofL women's soccer team jumped out and said, we want this match. We're going to take control of this match. Stand back and watch us kick. And boy, they surely did, didn't they, Jeff?
Yeah, they really did. They came out aggressively. We talked about in the earlier exhibition that they played aggressive, and this is again very aggressive play, high paced, moving quick, good ball movement. Really delightful approach to how this team plays. I'm not super great at soccer analysis, but they certainly were moving well. They maintained possession of the ball well. It was overwhelmingly dominated by Cardinal possession, so it was great, a lot of fun.
Was indeed the Cards taking this match 6-2 after leading 2-1 at halftime. It was a youth movement, Jared, as out of the 6 goals Louisville scored, 5 of them were by freshmen. One of them was by a sophomore who didn't play a whole lot last year. As Coach Ferguson days kind of intimated, yeah, we had 5 freshmen scoring. If you could say it's almost 6 because we had one come in there and do a really good job in getting the goal for us. And Emma Hiscock, who saw limited action last season, it was just kind of a fun, feel good romp, wasn't it?
Yeah, whenever you can go and post up 6 goals in a match, which is pretty uncommon, it's a good feeling. It's a promising sign for an offense that we were very uncertain going into the season what was going to happen. And then those 2 goals, as Coach Karen Ferguson Days had mentioned in post game, those both goals are presentable. It's not like they were, just getting beat really badly. It's just a couple little miscues here and there. Clean that up. I mean, I thought it was a great start to the season, getting a 6-2 win like that.
It was indeed, and when those 2 goals were scored by WMU, they had a player who has certainly had a very good career up there get both of those for the Broncos, but the game was, it was 2-0. She made it 2-1, and then later on she got one that really didn't matter. In Jenna Blackman picking up her second score. Right after, actually, it was about 3 minutes after Louisville had scored in a kind of a quick turnaround and sequence of things. But the Cards got it started early and came out with a very, very strong, aggressive attack, as Jared mentioned there. In the 8th minute of play, Brooke Dardano and Macy Whitsett had a nice cut and a double set there. It paid off with the perfect pass into Nina Nakosa, giving the Cards a 1-0 lead. And that was really a nice sequence to watch, wasn't it, Jared?
Yeah, just the fact that the Cards were able to get on board early. They're communicating well, passing well. Let a freshman get that first goal of the season. Being able to score for a freshman builds that confidence early on, and it's always going to contribute well down the road when your freshman can start to build some early confidence.
With 16 minutes gone in the first half, the Cardinals struck again. This time, Brooke Dardino got a very, very nice pass from Morgan Bentley, who's one of the upperclassmen at Louisville. She booted it into the back of the net, and the Cards had already matched their output in the Ball State game in the first 16 minutes of the contest Thursday night, taking a 2-0 lead. And just to see the Cards jump out that quick and that early, Jeff, and getting some points on the board so early was really, really refreshing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was. I mean, it's just obviously it's just more fun to watch when your team is getting out to an early lead, getting scores. It takes a lot of the stress off. But yeah, I think you want to see that. Coach had some comments about allowing a couple of those goals that she wants to kind of look at in the post game comments. But yeah, it's great to get on the board. Lets the team kind of loosen up a little bit, play a little looser. Also lets them kind of drop some of that aggression and drop back and say, okay, we've got a good lead now. It was 2-1 at half, but then early in the second half we moved on ahead. So you get to kind of take a little bit of that stress level off when you're playing, which is always nice.
That 2-0 Cardinal lead held until the 9-minute mark left in the first half, where the Broncos did get that first goal to kind of make it 2-1. Louisville had really dominated action, though. The entire first half, they had at the end of the half, they had an 11-4 shot advantage over WMU and a 59-41% edge in possession time. That speaks a lot to me, Jared, as far as we were controlling the ball and doing some of the things that we want to do.
Yeah, you can look at much of the first half, especially the first 20-25 minutes. There's maybe once or twice where we saw the ball even make it to our back line of defense there as we maintained and held possession real well, got those shots off. Just exciting for the freshmen, but you're always going to see freshmen early in the season come out hungry. They're really wanting to prove themselves, earn that playing time, do everything they can to stand out in the coach's eyes. And they really did show it our freshmen so far have been proven to be a talented bunch. Uh, and I think they're going to kind of be the spark to the team this year among a bunch of veterans that we've got out there.
Definitely so. I think so because as Karen Ferguson days kind of intimated us in the post game presser that we had with her, her halftime message was keep up the intensity, keep the ball moving, keep it on the offensive set, and that was certainly taken to heart by the team. Freshman forward Julia Simon got loose with just 4 minutes gone in the first half and drilled a very nice unassisted goal past the WMU goalkeeper to put the Cards up 3-1. And then, lo and behold, just 7 minutes later, Simon said, "Call my number again." Oh, yeah, okay, I'll do that. Got set up by Brooke Dardano. That was the second assist for Dardano, and it put the Cards up to 4-1. It was very nice, I think, Jeff, to see Louisville come out strong in that second half and put up 2 goals in the total of 11 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. Like in any sport, you have those breaks, whether it's a halftime break or period break, or whatever, quarter break or timeouts. And we see this a lot in volleyball where momentum can swing. So anytime you go in that break, you're saying, okay, how are they going to come out in the second half? How are they going to respond to what they've seen in the first half? What adjustments are going to be made? They came out and they just kept the foot on the gas with it. You think when you get a good lead, of course, they only have 2-1 at the time, but you may not have quite the level of aggression. You want to back off a little bit, protect that lead, but they didn't really do that in this game very much. Maybe to a kind of almost concerning level, but Coach talked about that as well. So but it's nice to see that that spark continue after the halftime because you never know what's going to happen there.
Up in the press box, I think we were all in a little bit of shock and all that this team had 4 goals so early in the second half and had that lead. And we were kind of flipping back to see did Louisville actually get to 4 goals last year in any of their contests? And the answer was no, they did not. So we were tickled to see that, especially out of the freshmen. And then the Cards stayed aggressive. Emma Hiscock got a little unassisted goal with 14 minutes left in the contest to push that margin to 5-2. And Nina Nicosia, who had started the scoring at the start of the game, it was maybe fitting that she got the last goal connecting on an unassisted shot with about 2:40 left on the scoreboard. So a very convincing 6-2 win for Louisville as they start the home opener and the season opener at Lynn Stadium. Just some numbers here, Jared, to kind of look at. The Cards had a 27-9 shot advantage over WMU and a 13-5 edge shots on goal. And they also held an 8-0 edge on corner kicks. Definitely, I think, an indication of Louisville was controlling the action offensively.
Yeah, you see a lot of your strong powerhouse teams will really dominate the stats on the shot advantage as well as the possession. And that's kind of what we showed here, kind of mirroring what you'll see with a lot of teams like Florida State and Clemson when we go up and face them later on. So it's a promising sign. Getting that early win kind of calms your nerves, and it gives you something to feel good about before you do enter conference play later on. But I do like being able to play a few not top 10, top 15 opponents to start the year just to kind of ease into things.
We were kind of batting around near the end of the game on who we would bring in as the player to interview. And Nick kind of said, "Well, who do you want?" And I'm like, "Well, Simon's got 2 goals. Maybe we should talk with her." I said, "Do you think Coach will allow a freshman to speak with us?" He said, "Yeah, that's fine. I've heard her talk before. She's pretty good. I don't think there'll be a problem with that." And then lo and behold, Nakosa knocks in her second score at the end of the match. So we were kind of thinking, oh, do we want to bring both the freshmen in to talk with them? But we decided just to stay with Simon. And after waiting a fairly nice period of time for Coach Ferguson Days to wrap up her post-game information and talks with the team and her assistant coaches, Finally, we just sent Nick over to get Simon, and she started out the media post game. And Jared, I was very impressed with her for a freshman, for her poise and the way that she spoke about the contest.
Yeah, you see a lot of the freshmen and younger players will have that deer in the headlights look the first time you talk to them, just because it's unfamiliar territory when you've got cameras pointed at you and people asking you questions. But she was very comfortable, very confident with just sitting down and talking to us, because between you, Sonia, Nick, the UofL intern, and myself, there's quite a few people that were all eyes on her at that moment. And instead of kind of pulling away, she was cherishing the spotlight for a brief moment.
Yeah, I mean, and she handled it the right way too, staring, straightforward at us, not head down to the ground, eyes looking at the turf. She was expressive and certainly was very excited about her debut. The only miscue I could see is at the very end of the interview, where I was kind of teasing her about the 2 goals in her first game. Could she keep that up the remainder of the season? I think she maybe misinterpreted the question a little bit. And the enthusiastically said, "Oh yes, 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 yeah, we can certainly do that. This is a great team." And I'm thinking, did she just predict she was going to score 2 goals a game for the rest of the season? But obviously, just a misunderstanding of the question. Did talk to Coach Ferguson days too. We try to keep these post game interviews right around the 2-minute mark, kind of keeping the light so the coaches can and the players can get just the highlights in. Coach Ferguson days snapped very quickly on the question I presented to her. What are some of the things you take out of this one to get ready for James Madison? She had her answer, boom, right away on some of the things she needed to work on. So obviously, when she talks with her assistants after a game, I'm sure that's probably one of the things on their planner. There, guys. Okay, this is great. We did a lot of things well. What do we do better, Jeff? And that's certainly a good thing to do. I think I'd rather wait those couple extra minutes and let her kind of discuss things over with her coaches than for her to run right over and give us a post game.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, and Coach Ferguson Days has always been one to give insightful answers, right? She's never been one to just do pat coach answers. Yeah, we came out, we executed well, but she gives really thoughtful answers. It's one of the reasons I know you all like to talk to her and interview her a lot, and she's a great representation for the program. That gives her a chance to meet with the other coaches and talk through things and compare notes and get everybody on the same page as well, and just digest it a little bit. We can kind of think through and say, we've got 90 minutes of gameplay too. Maybe somebody points out something that one coach didn't see, the other did, some things like that. I think it's just a great way to get a better viewpoint on things, is to be able to compare notes a little bit.
And one of the things I've always admired about Coach Karen Ferguson days in the years that I've interviewed her post game and also preseason and such is that if you ask her a direct question, she will answer that question. She doesn't use that as a maybe one sentence segue to get into whatever's on her mind,
Yep.
as we've seen with other coaches in the past. Most of them no longer on campus, but still, for coach, she understands the question. She's going to give you the answer. Here you go. So, a great 6-2 win for Louisville. They return to the Lynn Stadium pitch when they take on James Madison. The nickname on that one, guys. Anybody?
I think it's like the Dukes or something, isn't it?
The
Yeah.
Dukes is
Yeah.
correct. Jared nails it right off the bat. There were 10 points for him and no quiz today. Tough luck, Jared. But yeah, they will take on the Dukes. There, this is another 7:31 on Thursday night at a Lynn. So certainly looking to see Louisville women's soccer push that mark to 2-0 with a win on Thursday night. Should be a lot of fun. And as we'd mentioned earlier and talked to you all about this, admission is free all season long at Lynn Stadium. Parking, not a problem, not a hassle whatsoever. So, hey, you get off work Thursday, not much going on, grab yourself a burger or something, and then head on down to campus. And watch out for state fair traffic a little bit on Gritton Driveway. I think the fair will still be going on. But if you come in the back way, you should have no problem whatsoever parking and then walking on in. So
Make sure to bring your dog Thursday.
And that's right. As was announced earlier, it is going to be pups on the pitch night out at Lynn Stadium. You can bring your dog. Uh, Certainly, somebody got mistaken this week and brought a duck to the game.
Yeah. And to be clear, they're not actually going to be out on the pitch. They will be over in the berm. But yeah, yeah. Oregon decided they wanted to horn in on this game, and
Kelly Graves, not being satisfied with having a great basketball team, sent a duck down to which actually landed out on the field, and the action was kind of over on the other end of the pitch, but our attentions all naturally gravitated to the duck there, and then all of a sudden Louisville got loose, and here they come running down with the ball, kind of semi-fast break loose play. They almost ran over the duck, and finally the duck decided he had enough and took off and flew off the field. But that was fun to watch, and certainly hope that the duck is okay. No animals were harmed in the filming of that event. But there were some great shots on Twitter about the duck being out there. The duck was wide open. Louisville chose not to kick the ball to the duck and let the duck try to go in and score and assisted. But, fun stuff out at Lynn. We also earlier in the day on Thursday got a chance to hear from Jeff Walls. It had been a while since he had addressed the acclimated media that covered Louisville women's basketball and such, and so he decided to give us a little 20-minute kind of scenario briefing on how things had been going over the summer for his basketball charges, and also to talk about his tennis game. All right, the tennis game wasn't earth-shaking news, but Walls did get a chance to talk to us about directly asked questions about Chelsea Hall and Inksler, the two transfers in Louisville women's basketball. He spoke at length about Peyton Holst, also Sydney Shelton, Haley Van Lith coming back for her sophomore year, along with Olivia Cochran, Liz Dixon, and the recent classification change on Alexia Mobley, who declared earlier in the week that she was going to join the class of 2021. She wasn't going to sit at home for a year. She was going to come down to campus, take a red shirt freshman year, which does allow her to still practice with the team. It allows her to go on road trips with the team. And as Wall said, if the case should ever arise where we needed her for an emergency, we we could play her. But he said my intents and her intents right now are just to redshirt and gain the valuable experience practicing with this team all year long. And Jeff, I think it's a great move. We all kind of wondered when she said she was in the class of 22 and she'd already graduated. Well, why? Well, why not just come directly to campus? She has now done that.
yeah, it was an immediate question when she initially reclassified and graduated. That yeah, okay, well, is she gonna go ahead and come to campus and maybe take a red shirt? It was the immediate question we were all asking, not just in our group chat, but elsewhere as well. And I think she was, the idea of graduating early was kind of nice because it lets her, if she really wants to be a great basketball player, it gives her a year just to focus on being a great basketball player and not also having to worry about academics. But going ahead and getting on campus, taking the redshirt year, you don't lose a whole lot, and you get the opportunity then to have access to the facilities and the resources that the university program has. It's you're be part of the workout sessions and access to the physical infrastructure, weight rooms and practices, and get to play against and practice against some really great players that are already here and on the team. So it seems like the only downside I see to it is you're consuming that overall year of eligibility. Um, so if she ends up with an injury down the road, she's kind of in a corner with respect to that. But I don't want to think about that. Let's hope she stays healthy and can play the 4 years and be awesome.
Certainly so. We have seen in the past that the NCAA has granted, in cases like that, a sixth year of
Mhm.
eligibility sometimes to a student athlete who's done similar. But certainly, we don't want anything to happen to Lex, as Walls calls her, Lex Mobley, and hope that she can stay healthy and productive. But Walls also talked at length a little bit about the two transfers into the program, beginning to uh, learn how. He said that Chelsea Hall was the first one to arrive on campus all the way back in June. had come in and it looked very, very impressive, just kind of in open gyms and stuff like that. Not so much as a shooter, not so much as a scorer, but one of those point guard types that works on getting the rest of the team involved, Jared, with passing, playing defense, and helping players get structured. And let's face it, with the departure of Dayuna Evans, a player like that on the roster doesn't hurt one bit.
No, and you don't really need another scorer out there. I mean, it's great to have scores out there. You can't complain about them, but I think there's enough scores on the team, the current roster as we have it, that it's not crucial that whoever's playing point guard has to be able to put up 10, 12 more points a game. Like you said, just someone who can go out there, control the offense, kind of be your on the court captain, your leader, get everybody in place, and help get the ball moving around a little bit, find the open player, get the easy bucket, and then get everybody back on defense. Sometimes that's all you need out of a point guard.
True on that. And Hall had actually been a Louisville target back when she was a high school senior, but kind of looked at what the Cards had on roster at the time and decided, yeah, maybe Vanderbilt's the way for me to go here, and had a very, very good career playing with the Commodores down there. But of course, it's the NCAA rules allow as a graduate transfer, she could come in and play another year at another program if they had a major at that university, which was in line with what she'd been studying. The Cards did that. Chelsea Hall, another depth addition to the Cards guards contingent, and certainly one that we'll look forward to seeing how Walls uses her, I think. Also, Emily Inksler, and if you've watched any ACC basketball over the last several years, you are certainly familiar with that Syracuse Stars name, Emily Inksler. We won't belabor the point, Jeff, on what happened up in Syracuse to cause so many players leave that program. The good thing is we got one of the shining stars they had last year in Inksler here on the Louisville campus.
Yeah, it's going to be great to have her and kind of support what was already a great team. I mean, we only graduated Dana Evans, right? Who was, and I say only, she's a very, very fine player. Obviously, she's playing in the WNBA, playing at the next level. It's great stuff. But as only like a single player, as opposed to like graduating a class of five, right? So you get some great players coming in that can hopefully replace and refocus the team, and it's I am excited for what's going to happen here with these two transfers coming in, and with Peyton Verhulst coming in as a freshman and others. It, great things are ahead. It's the biggest challenge I see is how do you get playing time enough to keep everybody happy. We've talked about that in the past, and I still think that's going to be a challenge. But so far, so good on it. So
Walls will have his work cut out along with the other assistant and associate coaches down there, trying to juggle playing time to keep all hands on board happy. But Walls also talked at length about Peyton Verhulst and her summer exploits. She was actually one of the first freshmen on campus, was here for just a short while, and then had to take off for USA U19 training for the FIBAs over in Hungary. Went over and did all that, of course, with the USA winning that FIBA conglom over there. Is the Peyton Verhulst we saw was not the scoring threat that we had talked about quite a bit in her high school senior season, but more of a team concept player who passed the ball well, rebounded very strongly, and as Jeff Walls was quick to point out, I was really impressed with her defense against the rest of the world playing for the FIBA squad that the USA had. And that's good to hear, Jared. Very good to hear that Peyton's got that all around game.
Yeah, good experience, good practice over there. Like you mentioned, just being well rounded on everything on the stat sheet. She's going to be one of those players who's going to be able to contribute a little bit of everything when she is in that UofL jersey, and it's nice to have that. She's kind of like, in a way, remind me of Mikasa Robinson, just more of a scorer than Mikasa is.
So we'll look forward to see what Peyton can do as a freshman. If you wanted to hear that presser, It is up on the Cardinal Couple website on the Friday column that I wrote while Daryl was out. And so you can catch that whole 21-minute presser with the various questions Walls was asked on the Friday Cardinal Couple column if you want to read that. It was a lot of fun. A very busy Thursday indeed. Moving on, staying on Floyd Street, but moving a little bit further north, the UofL volleyball squad broke into their exhibition season, taking on the red and black scrimmage where the players are divided up and then go after each other. Our own Jeff McAdams was out there for that. Kind of just break us down a little bit, Jeff, on what you saw, what you're excited about.
Yeah, obviously, this is always a fun event. It's lighthearted. Um, they compete. They get out there. They compete, but it's usually um, it's a kind of a practice time for to get together and a time for fans to kind of get their first glimpse of what the team's going to be like. Anytime I'm going out there, I'm looking for to get a sense of the players that I haven't seen play before, whether that be transfers or incoming freshmen, to see, if there's any significant changes in the play of any players that have been there. I've watched players go off and after one season then come back and be much better servers. You're like, okay, they spent some time in the gym just serving the ball, and that's great. So you can get an understanding of how the team is going to change in that respect. And it's just kind of a fun chance to get together with people and see people that you haven't seen in months. In this case, fewer months than normal, but still definitely months. But it's just a lot of fun. What I saw here was our setter position is in good shape for the next 4 years or so. We Paige Morningstar came in as a freshman. She played on the other team for the most part and did a very fine job. She was accurate. She was up to speed. She was playing at the level she needed to be playing to play at the college level, and we're in good shape there. Of course, we also have Rachel Demarcus as a kind of a second setter. Um, the challenge there being that she's just kind of short, which is always a challenge for a setter position. Um, we did see Tori Dilfer go down with a minor injury. We did find out later when we were at the soccer game, talked to her and Aiko, and both said, yeah, it's nothing major, but she did sit after the first set, after in the middle of the first set, really, with just a little bit of a knee tweak, nothing major. Um, yeah, our hitting looks good. Our defense looks pretty good. The battle for who's going to get the libero position, the position battle there is still wide open. There's still several candidates that could potentially end up in that spot. Um, I think if I were going to bet on this, I'm not obviously because NCAA and all that. But if I were going to bet on it, and I'm not really much of a betting person anyway, my money would go on Aiden Bartlett, but it wouldn't be much money because, yeah, I'm just not that certain about it. So we'll see what happens. We'll see who plays today up in Dayton. That'll be fun to see. Um, it's just a lot of fun. Occasionally, a little bit of a difference this year as opposed to past red and black scrimmages. A lot of times we'll see them line up basically all of the starters on one side, all the expected starters at least on one side, and reserves on the other, and it tends to be a little bit of a one-sided match, although not usually a blowout. Um, in this case, they were really intermixed. They didn't have all the starters on one side and all the reserves on the other. They had them mixed up with each other, and it was fun. It was some really, really great close matches back and forth. It went a legitimate 4 sets before the red team was able to win. But yeah, not too much shifting back and forth with players. We did see Rachel Demarcus move from one team to the other when Tori went down with her little knee tweak. So, but that was more a question of practicality than anything. So, I'm trying to think of other observations I had. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm excited for what we're going to see.
I know that there was some interest on my part about how PK Kong would look. She had actually played with Sydney Shetland
Mhm.
in South Dakota graduated a year ahead of Sydney. Sydney, of course, now on the campus to play both basketball and volleyball for Louisville. But I was wondering how Kong looked at there.
She looked pretty good. She was actually swinging out of the middle, which is, I guess, where she's been listed as on the roster in the past. But she's got a lot of work to do to break into that rotation with Anna Stevenson and Amaya Tillman in front there. So, um, but she's developing. Anna Stevenson will graduate this year. Um, we've got other options there in the middle, so it's going to be a battle. That'll be a position battle after this year, I'm sure. Um, I think she looked pretty good. She's tall, she's long, she's athletic. Um, she's got really short hair now, which is a bit of a change. That it took me a minute to recognize her, but I'm excited for what's going on there. Um, in the middle position, I will call out also Kara Cressy, I think is how you pronounce her name. And she's out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. She's an incoming freshman, 6'5". For our readers and listeners that like tall players, here you go. 6'5" coming in here. Will meet up with Sydney Shetman, expected to at least next year when Shetman starts playing volleyball, also at 6'5". So yeah, again, good possibilities, good future there.
Good to hear on both of them, indeed. This event used to, in past years, I think you and I did this a couple seasons, have a little kind of buffet banquet before the actual match. But I understand this has now been moved to the after the action.
Yeah, they started the match at 5:30, which was it's a bit early, but then they had a little bit of a kind of a barbecue dinner, buffet sort of thing. They didn't actually do it buffet because COVID concerns and all that, and they kind of adjusted the way they served it. But it did, and they had a little bit of a time for the coaches to get up and speak a little bit. Danny Bestman Kelly, Coach Kelly, Bestman Kelly, spoke about the team, about what they're doing, about the progress that they've seen already. They go through basically the whole team and let them introduce themselves, where they're from, what they're studying, what they're, some fun fact about them or whatever. And then they also, what I like is they'll also, for the past couple of times, they've made sure to call out some of the supporting cast, the supporting staff of the program. The new, I say athletic trainer is the generic position. She's actually the director of women's health for University Athletic Department. So that they actually get kind of the top person in that department is being dedicated to volleyball, which is very cool. So she's new. She's only been here for, I don't know, a week or two maybe. They introduced Linda Hampton Keith as a volunteer assistant coach. She's only been here 2 weeks. Former head coach at NC State. Some of the managers, some of the graduate assistants, stuff like that. A number of people kind of in support, and of course the whole coaching staff. So it's always a lot of fun. Get a chance to mix and mingle with some people. Side Out Club mostly. So, but we had, while we were having dinner, we had 4 of the players sitting at our table where I was sitting with my mother and some other Side Out Club members, and it was fun to talk to them.
Always good to catch up for sure. And we also found out last week, Jared, that in the always tough ACC volleyball standings, that the preseason poll had Louisville ranked second behind Pittsburgh. Of course, the Cards won this last year, and as the defending champs, I was a bit surprised, sir, that Pittsburgh was put over us in the preseason polls.
Yeah, it's a little surprising, but with how good Pitt has been in recent years and just some of the matches we've had with Pitt in recent years, and the fact that Pitt, I believe, was one of the higher seeds in last year's tournament, they're a great program. I think maybe instead of us feeling kind of too comfortable and relaxed in that preseason top spot, it gives us a little bit of motivation to prove everybody wrong. Because we really didn't lose a lot of players. I think there's just Alexis Hamilton to graduation. We for pretty much bringing back 90 some odd percent of our rosters. So it's an experienced roster, loads of talent. As Jeff mentioned, there's battles for positions in almost every spot right now, which just makes your players better when you've got to continue working so the person next in line doesn't pass you. So, I mean, it's preseason. I won't worry about it too much, but it does give our team a little extra motivation to go ahead and prove everybody wrong.
We will certainly wait with anticipation and have our eyes open for when the Cards play Pitt. They had them twice on the schedule this year, playing them on a Sunday, October 24th at the LNFCU Arena, and then going on the road to take them on November the 24th, exactly 1 month later, up at Pittsburgh. So 2 chances to take on the team here, guys, that is ranked preseason at least higher than the Cards. Those are always fun matches to watch. So we'll see what happens with that for them. As we'll kind of take a little trip back southbound on Floyd now and stop over at the field hockey facility where it gets started with exhibitions today and exhibitions tomorrow. The alumni, as we mentioned earlier, coming in to take on the student athletes today and then Sunday. Bellarmine, first time that the Cards and Bellarmine have ever faced. Bellarmine now a D1 program, but they still list this one as an exhibition. I found that a bit weird, Jared, but still, it'll be fun to kind of see how we do in this. What do we call this? The Battle of Eastern Parkway? I don't know. You come up with a title for it.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see what that's going to be called because we're going to start playing Bellarmine and I believe several different sports coming up in the future. So the Battle of Eastern Parkway would make the most sense, seeing as it pretty much gets you to Bellarmine's campus. It's just about a quarter of a mile away, half a mile away.
Not too far away, anyway. Yeah.
Right, and then Eastern Parkway will get you to UofL's campus directly.
Yeah.
Should be a fun event for the fans and also a fun event for the alumni who are coming back into, I guess you could say, suited up one more time. See if they've kept any of those skills when they were playing for Justine Sari against a very strong student athlete contention for Louisville field hockey. The Cards, of course, last year, as we well know, made it to the Final Four. That's so disappointing loss they had to Michigan after 2 overtimes and a shootout. Some key pieces gone, maybe from the roster for Louisville field hockey, of course, with Megan Snyder and both Mercedes Meche-Pastor graduated and gone on to other things. But this is no team to sneeze at, Jeff. There's a lot of talent left on there for Justine Sari.
Yeah, there really is. You know, the field sports like this are sometimes a little harder to track this because there's just more players involved, right? You don't get to know them as well, I feel like, because you're trying to pay attention to, 11 starters plus other players. So I always feel like I never know the players on the soccer, field hockey, or lacrosse teams as well as I do like basketball or volleyball, just because there's more to keep track of. But lots of talent coming back. And it's exciting. This is a program that has developed a national level competitive program and is being recognized as such, which is a situation where it feeds on itself because then it's easier to recruit. You come in and can go in and say, hey, come be part of one of the best teams in the country, right? That's recognized as such. And it's easier to make that case and get recruiting coming in. So, we've got some great players coming in. We've got a bunch of great players returning, a great core. It's going to be fun. I'm excited to see where this team goes, how much they can do. Can they improve on last year? I mean, there's not a whole lot much more room to improve upon as far as actual eventual outcomes, but you can always improve your game.
Jared will be out there today taking photos of that, and I'm assuming you're going to be back tomorrow for Bellarmine. If I know you'll be out there taking pictures.
Yeah.
Again. I'm going to miss today.
Oh yeah, I've got to.
Yeah, you get on-field privileges, don't you? Nice.
As far as I know, yes. From speaking with Lori, I should be able to.
Hopefully you're not taking pictures from the concession stand, but or maybe so. I don't know. They sell beer over there. You might be all right. But no, with the alumni, that's always kind of a one-sided, but fun affair to watch. I'll be more interested in going out on Sunday for that 1 p.m. exhibition against Bellarmine, just to kind of see things as we're going up against an actual bona fide Division One team to play them, and then the regular season gets started in earnest on the 27th. That's right, this Friday coming up when the Cards bring in the Ohio University Bobcats, not Ohio State, the Ohio University Bobcats for our Friday matchup, and then they'll turn around and play again on Sunday against New Hampshire, ending our kind of 4 home game streak there. A lot of exciting things to talk about, Jared. Let's just name some of the essentials right off the bat here. You're going to have Sam Memworth back in goal. Certainly did a wonderful job for Louisville last year back there. Charlie Van Oorschot is back again. Just a ball mover, a distributor, a player that can get a lot done. Julie Cowweiser back for the Cards as well. And some other players that should make this team very competitive, I think, in another top 5 program.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of talent returning. Lots of different scores from last year's team. Even though Mechie has gone on and she's playing pro ball now. As you mentioned, Charlie Van Oorschot should be one of your top contributors for scoring. I think Amy Plum scored a few last year, so she's coming back. Defensively, you've got Allie Bidding returning. You've got, as you mentioned, Sam Minrath in goal. There's still a lot of talent still on this team, so I don't think there's too much concern other than just being able to make up for how much of the offense Mechie was last year. You've just got to. I don't think it's going to fall onto one player that's going to pick that up. I think you're going to see it spread out more among the rest of the team, just in terms of ball control, passing, scoring. Just because it's hard to duplicate a player like that. And I'm not familiar with the talent of the newer faces on the team, so I'm curious to see how much playing time they get this weekend and what they look like. I think tomorrow will be a better representation of what will look like as opposed to the alumni game where you're playing a bunch of former players who probably haven't picked up a stick in either several months or several years and haven't been conditioning on a daily basis.
Should be a fun event both today and tomorrow. And we'll certainly bring you the updates and the news on that as those events go on. I don't know if we'll be able to get stat sheets or not, but certainly be able to give you a fairly good synopsis of the action. As Jeff Walls also put out, in addition to everything else, it was Lucy Walls' birthday yesterday. So certainly a very happy birthday to her. As one of the darlings, I think, of the Walls family that we've got to see not only on the podium up there doing pressers with us, but also running around picking her favorite players and following them around the court during practice. So, a very, very happy birthday to her. Other things that are going on, guys, I'm just kind of scanning here a little bit to see what else we've got happening. That's pretty much it from what I've got. If there's anything else that I'm missing here, certainly feel free to bring it in right now.
Nothing I know of.
Nope.
Going once, going twice, sold to the highest bidder.
Yep.
Not much there. So we look forward, I think, to a very exciting week ahead for Cardinal athletics and some of the things that will be going on campus. So hopefully that we can catch and keep you up on all that as well. But we are kind of running this thing on a tight schedule today. I know we've got other stuff going on for Jeff and Jared today, UofL related. So I'm going to try to get us off the air here if I can, right at noon, maybe a little bit early, give you a little extra time here. So let's go ahead and kind of move it on in. I think the final thoughts, and certainly a couple final thoughts on my mind, but I'm going to wait till I go last and let Jeff start it out today with his final thoughts.
Yeah, I'm excited to get up to Dayton, grab a bite to eat, hit the road. as soon as after this as I can. I do need to upload the audio of this so Case can massage it into a podcast, but hit the road pretty quickly and then go out there and check out the volleyball, see how they do against external competition is always enlightening. So looking forward to that.
Certainly safe travels to you up there, and have a fun time up there for sure. Up there in Dayton's arena, a chance I've been in, a chance to be in a couple times up there, basketball related, but still fun little place to go up there and watch events go on. Jared, final thoughts?
Happy to see that we've had move-in day and everybody's starting to get back to campus again. Fall sports have begun. So just hopefully everybody can stay responsible, get vaccinated if you're not, wear a mask if you're kind of in close contact with a bunch of people. Just do your part so we can have a fairly normal fall semester, both academically and athletically.
Amen on that. Absolutely. So we don't want to have to go through the horror and the head scratching and the eye popping events of last season when it seemed like events were being canceled and coaches were scrambling at the last minute just to get games, especially in basketball and in other events as well. So let's hope that we can stay that way. My final thoughts kind of come into a couple of things. First of all, U of L related, as far as the policies and procedures that they have put into place for the media this year. I do applaud the University of Louisville and their athletic directorship for making sure that if you're in an enclosed area covering a game, i.e., a press box, that you remain masked up. I thought I think it's a wise move. I think it's a good move. I only heard a couple grumblings about it, but honestly, it's like you've been training for this your whole life, kids. Okay,
Hmm.
if you haven't gotten used to wearing a mask in a year and a half now, I don't know what to tell you. And it's only a short period of time anyway. And then that also extended as well to the field, for we saw women's soccer where Jared was going around taking pictures of with his mask on as well. So a nice preventative move by Louisville to ensure that their student athletes are able to stay off the sick and infirmed list. Another area go on that as well. Going down onto the field for post game interviews. I cannot tell you how happy that makes me this year after being subject to either Skype or Microsoft Teams or whatever they decided to throw at you at the last second to talk with coaches. And I just trying to remember, we didn't do very many player interviews last year after games, guys, because of this rather new and interesting concept. It was great to get back down on the field at women's soccer and talk to a coach and a player after the match face to face, albeit they made us wear masks during those post game interviews. I may have fudged a little bit on that, but nobody saw that because the camera was on the player and the coach instead of me. But how nice it was just to be able to get back down there again and talk with them. So let's hope that that stays. Let's hope that that continues. Let's hope that we can continue to do that as the season progresses. So, with that in mind, that'll bring us to the end of another exciting edition here of the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour podcast. We certainly thank you all for listening in. Check the website tomorrow if you want to hear a rebroadcast of this, as Jeff and Case will do their magic to get this thing back up where you can see it in the Sunday Cardinal Couple edition. You'll also get to read Jeff's recap on his trip to Dayton
Mm-hmm.
and what he got to see. So, unless you know something we don't, we'll catch you next week here at 11 a.m. for the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour podcast.